Thank you so much. Take a moment right now to find a comfortable posture. And the main thing about the posture, as best as you can, if you can have your spine as extended as possible. That keeps a nice open flow of energy through your system. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche will say, as if your sides are long, as if your sides are long. So think about the extension. And normally we would have the head slightly tipped forward. So if your head's up here, you get very distracted. And we are distracted anyway in meditation, right? So be gentle with yourself. This is a process. If your head is too far slumped down, you can get drowsy, which can also be an obstacle in meditation. Mainly find a relaxed position as best as you can. Okay, and you can support yourself with your legs in, if you're in a cross-legged posture, seated on a cushion or a large, wide chair, that's fine. If you're in a chair, it's perfectly fine to sit, but have your legs straight down, not crossed, so that there's a balance to the body. And if you are in a chair, you can have your feet straight, flat on the floor or on a cushion on the floor. And while we're doing this just now, setting our posture up, the physical posture, just begin to deepen your respiration. You can lightly close your eyes. And let's just begin to sink into this meditation posture, bringing ourselves here, letting go of all the myriad distractions that pull our energy this way and that. And as you take a deep inhalation, as you're doing this, you may want to imagine bringing in positive mind states. So you could inhale joy. And as we exhale, imagine releasing something that doesn't benefit us, maybe releasing despair. You can inhale happiness, exhaling frustration. And feel free to put it into your own words of whatever you most need right now. And as you're inhaling something positive, if you can, imagine that soaking through all the organs of your body, all the different tissues, systems, and all the way down to a molecular level. So that as much as possible, that physical being, physical presence of yourself is touched with something positive, something joyful, perhaps, something uplifting and lending a little bit more balance to your life. Try your best. And however you're seated, feel the grounding as well. Your feet either on the floor or on a cushion on the floor, or you in meditation posture seated on the floor. Feel the grounding with Mother Earth as if the roots from the planet are coming up underneath you, supporting this practice. There can always be that grounding. So, in times when we feel greatly anxious, at times when we are thoroughly distracted with the mind flying around, that grounding's always there if you become more and more familiar with it. We just try our best. So, let's look at the posture of the mind right now. How's your mind? How are you feeling? And just have a look gently, gently. If you've been upset this morning, maybe you had a fight with someone, some poor communication, you're feeling depressed, anxious about something, we're gently observing that, not making it bigger than it really is, not ruminating over every negative thought we're having. We're just looking. And maybe you're feeling really spacious this morning, feeling physically well, feeling light in your mind. Fantastic. Observe that. So we're observing without a sweeping judgment. We're observing to note what might be best for us right now. What might be best how we move through our day by having a little look at our mind and how we feel. So if we're feeling great, you can further enhance that by setting a good motivation. If we're not feeling great, we've got something else going on, we can better balance that by setting a good motivation. So motivation is a key, huge help for any activity we do, any activity at all. And through that motivation, you can make it a more virtuous activity that can layer more positive seeds and imprints in your mind and in your life. So, in this tradition, we're very focused on this idea of benefiting, helping all living beings. But that sounds pretty overwhelming at times. And we also feel very limited in doing that. But if you can become an enlightened being, a fully enlightened or awakened being, then you do that perfectly. That's your whole purpose. And everything's directed to that, right? And you're free of all fears and are all knowing. So it's actually easy for you to do that. We have certain things in this life we're habituated with doing over and over, so they're easy for us. So as a Buddha, as a fully enlightened being, helping others becomes easy for us. Becomes easy. Everything directed in that way. So if you like that notion to benefit all living beings, feel free to include it in your motivation right now. At the very least, take a moment to set a positive intention for our time together for this meditation session, as well as all the activities of the rest of your day. And let's clear out now some of the more subtle channels in the body that can help us meditate better. This is a pranayama practice, which is about breathing. There's many different breathing practices. So I like the 9 round breathing. It's like alternate nostril breathing. That. And there's different ways to do this breathing as well. I see some old friends jumping on the Facebook Live jump out. Wonderful to see you. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by closing off our right nostril. I actually start with an exhalation. So you're going to exhale deeply through your left nostril. Then you're going to change, close off that left nostril, inhale deeply through the right. And as you do this, feel that you're releasing anger and hostility from your mind stream 3 times. Our next round, we're going to start by closing off the left nostril and exhaling deeply through the right. We then close off the right nostril, inhaling deeply through the left. And as you do this, imagine you are releasing desire and attachment from your mind 3 times. Our last round, we're going to exhale deeply through both nostrils. Inhale deeply through both nostrils. Imagine you're releasing ignorance and confusion from your mind stream 3 times. And let's place the mind now on the breath, a normal, natural breath. So you can follow the air as it moves in and out of your nostrils or focusing on this space just outside the nostrils. You could focus on the rising and falling of your abdomen. If that's more comfortable, stay with one of those situations. If you'd like, you could place a little golden drop right outside the nostrils if that helps you to concentrate better. Little golden drop of light. And if your mind gets distracted, starts to wander off after thoughts or sounds, ideas, brighten the intensity of the drop. Make it brighter if that helps to bring your mind back. There's a few different techniques. We're going to work on some concentration right now. Let's try 5 minutes. If the mind wanders, which is very common, be gentle with yourself. It's very natural. Okay? You just observe. Whenever you catch your mind, you're off the breath. You bring your mind back to the breath. You begin again. 5 minutes. Try your best. So please relax the mind for a moment. Just take it off the breath. And if you'd like, wherever you are, just stay in your position. We will have time to adjust later, but if you do need to adjust, feel free. You can open your eyes and just look around the room for 10 or 20 seconds. Unless you're an experienced meditator, and sometimes even if you are, mind wanders. So you can do short segments to build the concentration that will really help you in everyday life be more focused, more mindful. For the next segment, let's close our eyes lightly. And here's some techniques to keep your mind focused, some additional techniques. As we know, we can count the breaths. We can count our breaths that keeps us more focused. So meaning one inhalation, one exhalation counts as one. See how far you can count before your mind wanders. If it does, become aware, you bring your mind back to the breath, you begin counting again at one. See if you can count up to 10 with focused concentration and back down then if you get to 10. But if not, mind wanders, you bring it back. That's all, no problem. You begin counting again at one. Try your best. 5 minutes. So please relax and slowly open your eyes. And if you need to make any adjustments in your posture, feel free. Just observe the mind from a little bit of concentration we've been working on. There may be coming a little bit of stillness or quiet, which we so rarely have in our lives. It can be so helpful as a treat to yourself every day or every week to give yourself this meditation practice. Just allowing yourself to be still, to be quiet, to just let the thoughts go. Let's return to our practice, lightly closing the eyes. And I'd just like you to explore a little bit some meditations we've done before. But if you're newer here, looking at the nature of our minds, the clear, spacious awareness of our minds, which we rarely touch because we're so distracted and busy. So imagine, some of you have done this with me before, that you're lying on your back on a grassy hillside and you're gazing up into the clear blue sky. Just imagine that expanse of the sky, vast, the sky on a clear day, the blue going on forever. Can you merge yourself with that expanse of the sky as best as you can right now? The sky like that is like your mind. It's actually like your mind. One characteristic of the mind in Tibetan Buddhism is clarity. The mind is clear. Yet we rarely experience our minds like that. So this is really helpful to bring us back and familiarize us with the true nature of our minds. Our focus right now is that clear blue expanse, merging ourselves with that as best as we can. So as we know, occasionally a cloud appears in the sky. Could be a light puffy cloud that comes into being, forms, changes, and eventually passes away. Just like thoughts coming into the mind, arising from our consciousness. Thoughts, ideas, mental events, natural. But rather than getting overly involved in some of them and creating that deep trench of perhaps a negative thought, can we see them like clouds in the sky? So as you're focusing again on this expanse of the clear blue sky that is like your mind, just notice when distraction comes in your mind, a thought, an idea. You hear a sound and it distracts you. Just see it like a cloud. Clouds come in the sky. You observe for a moment, let it go. Let the cloud float off, returning your awareness to that spacious clarity of the mind, merging yourself with that as best as you can. I'd like you to notice, for instance, the spaces between the clouds. Sometimes we certainly have a heavy bank of rain clouds, no doubt, but they're also temporary. And we know that beneath them, behind them, is that expanse of the sky. So, for instance, a wonderful reminder for yourself if you have chronic depression or a lot of anxiety that feels really solid in the mind, it's temporary. There was a time before that in your mind. That means there will be a time after it in your mind. But right now, as you're trying to keep your mind focused on that spacious clarity, but distractions come, try to notice what is between the distractions. So between the thoughts that bubble up. That's that space of consciousness, your mind. If you can find that space again, between the thoughts, just like the spaces between the clouds, focus on the space itself rather than the thought. See if you can stare at that space. And if you're able to stare at that space of consciousness, space of awareness. It's clear, luminous, letting the thoughts go, letting distraction go. Feel free to fill that space with bubbles of light. And imagine those bubbles are in the nature of bliss. Try your best. And just slowly now bring yourself back to lying on the grassy hillside as you're looking up into the clear blue sky. And as you imagine you're lying there, And even now, bringing yourself back to your space that you're sitting in, I'd like you to just notice the other aspect of the mind, awareness. According to Tibetan Buddhism, the mind is clear and knowing, clear and knowing. So what about the knowing aspect? Just look for a moment. Even with eyes closed, notice what your mind is aware of. For instance, the temperature in the room, the temperature where you are. Even with eyes closed, you're aware of the material you're sitting on, the seat you're sitting on, the form of it, the fabric, the coolness, the heat, hard or soft. These are things that consciousness is aware of, coming in through our sense faculties. So that one is tactile in nature, through touch. We experience something. Tibetan Buddhism says it's the mind that gets in touch with the sense organs through sense consciousness. That's the connector. Sense consciousness based in the mind, not physical like the body, has a unique way of connecting to our different organs: ear, mouth, nose, eyes, fingers, body. So notice right now through those other sense organs and through their functions. So we're not really seeing now because we have our eyes closed, but what about hearing, smell? There might be a taste in your mouth, and certainly the body feeling things. Just notice what you're aware of, what the mind knows. Just explore that for a moment. And you may notice if you have any sounds around you, for instance, notice the first moment of sound, of a certain sound. Notice the next instant how the mind identifies what the sound is. The mind knows things, it labels things that then come into our existence and have presence for us. I'd like you to just notice that if you have a sound or the first moment a smell comes in and then you label it good or bad, loud or soft, distracting or okay. Notice that process. So, lastly, what I'd like you to imagine now, I'd like you to place yourself in a very comforting favorite place, whether it's an actual place you've been or a place you would like to be. And I'd like you to just imagine yourself there, immersed in the sounds of the space. You can imagine the air temperature. Notice if you're inside or outside, how it feels overall through all that sense consciousness. And just allow yourself to luxuriate in that favorite space. So these spaces can be enormously helpful, along with remembering the nature of mind. So, right now on the planet, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, imbalance. So, one wonderful antidote is to remind yourself of the nature of your mind. If you find you're toppling, if you find you're really stressing and ruminating about something from the past we ruminate, or anxiety about the future, just go back and say, oh, all those thoughts, all they are those anxious thoughts. Can you let them go? While we still engage practically in our lives, we have to engage in our lives practically, but can we do it from a more relaxed space? So, if we're able to do these meditations again and again, even 5 or 10 minutes a day, you're stressing at a meeting, you're upset about a relationship, travel, something's coming up. Just for a moment, take yourself back to the grassy hillside, lying on your back, looking up into the clear blue sky. That's like your mind. So watch the thoughts come up, the anxious thoughts. Watch the depressed thoughts, criticism of yourself, and just let those bubbles float off, returning yourself to that spacious clarity of your mind that is its true nature, not anxiety and depression. They're simply habits of previous delusion. The more we want to think about them, the deeper trench we make of those in the mind, but that's not the nature of your mind. If that doesn't work, sometimes 5 or 10 minutes a day to relax, take yourself to your favorite space. Luxuriate there for a moment when it's appropriate in your life. Renew yourself there. Doesn't matter if it's real or not, you're giving yourself space to detach and unhinge. And sometimes we need to do that. So in conclusion, may we dedicate and take all of the positive energy we may have created from our time to helping us be able to use these techniques readily, having them more familiar in our minds to help us counter negative mind states as much as possible, because the planet needs us to be balanced and healthy for the real purpose that we can reach a place where we can benefit all living beings. So I want to thank you so much for joining. And I also want to just ask if there's any questions, any comments about the meditation, any confusion, please feel free.
I have a question about sound. It wasn't, when I started the session, it wasn't happening, and then it was constant construction. So do I just, if it's constant and ongoing, what do I do with the clouds is my question.
So when you said constant, you were creating more clouds is what you're saying. Is that right, Anne-Marie?
The sound was constant, and I didn't know if I was supposed to have clouds come in and out as much as I could, or just have one big cloud, or that's
Okay,
my
so
question.
when you said sound,
Yeah,
construction sound, are you near a construction site? I'm trying to understand.
they're right next door.
Next door. Okay, so you've got a lot of noise is what we're
Uh,
talking about. Okay,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what happens is that can be challenging for meditation, honestly. What I have sometimes done in really noisy places is I've used earplugs.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's taken me a little while to get used to earplugs, but occasionally, because I've have traveled a lot, is I always have earplugs just in case. So
right.
it's very hard. I mean, it's really hard to tune that kind of loud sound out.
Okay,
But
right.
again, you can kind of notice, like, does the sound change? Observe the sound. Is it changing? Oh,
Mhm.
now it's louder. Now, sometimes you can just do a meditation like that where you're aware of the sound and you're just noting that, oh, it's not always constant. It does change.
Mhm.
But often if I'm trying to do a meditation on the clarity of consciousness, I might use earplugs or something like that, or try to find a situation that's a little quieter. That's really
Okay.
hard.
Yeah, thank you.
But good for you for trying. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thanks.
Fantastic. And I want to say too, I think we have a mother and daughter team with us, Camille and Olivia. And is Olivia the daughter?
Yeah, she's done a lot of different classes with you. And actually, I was going to ask a question. So I'm so glad you called me out, because I was like, oh, I don't want to ask that. It's kind of off topic. Um, yeah, so Livy does love to join me often. And I think, she started doing some classes when you were around. You did a lovely parenting class. And I think at the site at Campbell years and years ago.
It's a
And
long
she
time
does
ago.
love to
Yeah.
join, and she's 10 now. Sometimes she'll sit with me for quite a while, and sometimes she does, like this morning, where she just easily bounces off. Is there a point where I should start to tell her, like, let's commit to a time before you bounce off? Or should I just let it stay joyful like it is now, where she just kind of, pops in and out? And,
Yeah.
I'd love your thoughts on that. Should I help her start to make some commitments to it, or should I just let her be?
What I wanted to say was when I saw you both there, I wanted to say God bless, because like, don't we all wish we had started meditation when we were 10 years old? Right? I mean, the
Yeah.
imprints for her are the imprints can be so significant at a young age. To start earlier is great. So I would try to find a balance where you encourage her. It's great that she's doing it. It's wonderful. I was thinking to do a meditation today that was just for her, that's more of ones I lead for children. But the thing is, it's good for adults as well. So if you pop on again, I may decide to do that for people because I find it really helpful. I may do it next week. Next week, we're also going to look at love because it's Valentine's Day time, around then.
Yay.
Um,
Well, we'll
but,
come
but
back.
what I wanted to say is find the balance with her where you are able to, like encourage her, but explain that the longer she can stay with it sitting upright, she starts those habits. So you can encourage, but you don't want to distract her if she suddenly is like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mhm,
So you find a
mhm.
balance, and I would just openly talk with her about it, to show her that the more consistency, that's going to layer, help with it. But again, it's hard. The longer
Yeah,
consistency she has, the longer habit that'll happen. And let's hope that she stays with it when she's 12 and 13, right?
yeah,
When you're both
yeah.
really going to need it.
Yeah, she wants to do the Vipassana retreats. They have those young kid and they've closed them all down because of COVID.
Right.
But I do try and get up at 5:30 in the morning and do a meditation. And she often says, "Will you get me up?" And I do go in. We both have issues sleeping, and if her eyes are open, I say, "I'm gonna sit. Would you like to come?"
Right.
And sometimes she'll end kind of with her head on my leg, but she will stay there for a long time. And it's good practice for me to say, she's part of my world. This is my
That's great.
meditation right now.
No, that's great. If you can do that, that's wonderful to try to. Yeah, no, thank you. That's great. It's wonderful to have you guys here. And there's another question I just got. I'm not sure I understand. It's Chris Stock, Facebook Live, and all. Wish you would do this in a time I'm thinking and not thinking of the weekend when people have been drinking. Uh, let's see if I can. I'm not sure if I know the question. Yeah, no, this is Chris. This is a Saturday morning meditation, so you'll have to deal with your weekend drinking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to tell you, but um, it's yeah, we don't have this scheduled on other days. We may schedule it in the future as the center opens up and we can do more meditation. I'd certainly like to change the things, but there's other programs and things. So I'm sorry. A lot of people like the weekend mornings, and we also have Sunday morning with Venerable Yangchen, a friend of mine. And I did want to mention that we are having I'm doing a Valentine's Eve class, like an hour and a half, talking about loving yourself that helps you love others. So yeah, so Chris, I just wanted to mention, I'm sorry if this doesn't work for you this time, but we are going to do February 14th. If you can join, all of this is on the landofmedicinebuddha.org site. So feel free. Let me just put that. I think it's landofmedicinebuddha.org. And if you go to the Dharma calendar, the things will be there. I'm also going to start a Discovering Buddhism for Land of Medicine Buddha, a course on refuge that starts shortly as well on Monday nights, California time. Anyone's welcome to join. And I'm doing some other things. If you go to my website, these things will all be posted. Many of them are posted for some other centers right now, and the Land of Medicine Buddha ones will soon be posted. So there's a lot of courses coming up. I hope you can join. And it's been lovely having all of you here, if you want to join the Zoom room where we can see each other and talk a little bit rather than Facebook Live, you can register again at landofmedicinebuddha.org or go to amymiller.com, amymiller.com, and you can register like that. And if you're overseas where you can't pay on PayPal, unfortunately, not yet, you can register for free. And then if you want to make a donation separate to Land of Medicine Buddha, you can do that. I believe there's other ways to do that with your credit card that's not PayPal. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, the 14th, Chris, is not the 14th. We're not doing a meditation on love. I have a class on the 14th, but that weekend, I think it's the 12th, is Saturday, a week from today. We're going to be doing a meditation. We'll do something maybe for children as well, some for younger meditators, that's appropriate for adults, and some things on love as well. So if you can join, that would be great. Thank you all so much. It's great to see all of you. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend and look forward to seeing you next week or sooner.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely to see you.